Good morning, everyone. It is Friday. We made it through this week, thank God. Fry is, of course, dead asleep. As per usual, he was up early helping the kids hunt for the Santa Narc or Elves on the Shelves. You know, I don't know why we are encouraging our kids to deal with snitches, but hey, it is the current zeitgeist, so, we have to be like other parents. And it is nearly the weekend, so let's get this morning started right. In our first news story, Sergio Brown pleads not guilty to his mother's murder. I don't know how that's going to work out for him, but let's see how he's going to do this. In Maywood, Illinois, former NFL player Sergio Brown has pled not guilty Wednesday after being accused of unaliving his mother last October in Maywood. Good morning, Peace Peony, JKD Buck, Anthony, and Reindeer. Thank you for stopping by. I know that the Crumbly sentencing is live, so if everyone wants to come back on the replay crew, I totally understand. Hello, Sal. Excuse me. Sorry. I love sounding like a teen boy. It's very fun. It is always, always great. Welcome, Kim. Yes, it is Friday. Brown, 35, was accused of murdering his 73-year-old mother, Myrtle Simmons Brown, after her body was found in the backyard of their shared home, wrapped in a sheet. Court documents revealed Simmons Brown was last seen alive around 6 p.m. on September 14th at her home located. I'm not going to give her address away. There are enough crazies on the internet. I'm sure they can find it if they want to. It is what it is. One of her sons stops receiving messages from the victims and began to worry. Her son last spoke to her at 3 p.m. on that day. Good morning, alternate juror. Simmons Brown's son did not hear from his mother for the next 2 days. On September the 16th, he went to the home that Brown and she shared alone, and no one appeared to be home. The son returned later that day and met the police there. Officers found blood on the back patio, according to prosecutors. The victim and Sergio Brown were then reported missing. People searched the area, and a former neighbor of Brown, Simmons Brown, they found the body about 100 to 150 feet from her own back door. Now, the prosecutors say that the, you know, cause of death was blunt force trauma. Police say they searched the property and found cleaning products with bleach in the bathtub drain. The victim's iPad, credit cards, and phone were all missing, but her cigarettes were left behind, according to the court documents. Cameras in the area caught Brown burning fabric in a fire pit the night of September 14th, and burnt fabric was recovered by law enforcement. Prosecutors say the offender and the victim's phones were pinged together on September 14th and 15th before they stopped pinging together at all. So he must have been at least sound of mind enough to realize what he did was wrong and try to cover that up. So if he is going to try to go for an insanity defense, I don't know how that's going to work for him because he did have consciousness that this was wrong. Hello, hello, Veilhammer Media. Well, you always come in at the right time. I know phrasing. Court documents reveal that Brown booked a one-way ticket to Cancun, Mexico on September 15th at 3 a.m. An Uber driver took him to the airport that moment, and he flew out of Chicago early. Brown was detained in October 7th in Mexico City. U.S. Customs and Border Patrol out of San Diego found the victim's cell phone, iPad, and numerous credit card and bank cards in the victim's name in a bag that the offender was carrying. Now, had he done a little more research, like Donna Adelson, he might have gone to Vietnam, where the extradition would have been that much harder, but he chose Cancun. Good morning, Spirit Matter. But I'm glad that, He is presumed innocent right now, we have to remember that, but if he is found guilty, I'm glad that, he didn't make better choices in his, getaway plans. Bank records obtained with several search warrants show 2 Airbnb reservations made on Simmons Brown's Capital One Venture card. One was booked for September 21st for $1,797 and another for October 6th for $1,205. Prosecutors say DNA from a toothbrush found in the offender's bedroom is a possible match for the DNA found under the victim's fingernails. Brown was arrested in San Diego on October 10th after being deported from Mexico. He was, we're not sending our best to Mexico. I'm sorry. Look, sometimes you either chuckle or you buckle. And in these stories, you just got to take what you can get. I know, our shock. You can't imagine. His next court date was scheduled for January 24, 2024. And he was, of course, caught with a NFL jersey on. Of course he was. Good morning, Nander's Man Bun. You know, I wavered in, could I understand this? And then poor home training. But I can almost understand this. Families brawl and body slam each other outside at courthouse in a dispute over woman's disappearance. Members, because look, y'all, I'm telling you, if one of my family members goes missing and we happen to meet the family member of the accused and they start talking some BS, look, I'm not sure how much, good home training is going to hold up. Members of two families punched, kicked, and body slammed each other outside a Mississippi courthouse as they fought over a woman's mysterious disappearance over the summer. The families of Derek Coleman and his wife, Latasha Crump Coleman, were at Hinds County Courthouse in Jackson, Mississippi Thursday morning for a hearing for Derek Coleman, who is thought to know where missing Crump Coleman is. Crump Coleman, 46, a prison correctional officer, was reported missing by her family on July 19th, 2023, after she was last seen at 7:30 p.m. local time in Jackson. Derek Coleman was appealing a 2022 conviction where he was found to have violated a protective order to have no contact with his wife, according to WLBT. As court adjourned, members of the two families got together in the lobby, where some words were exchanged. Now, the court should have dismissed the families separately. Let's be honest, the court should have known there was gonna be some shenanigans, all right? This is a highly charged, highly emotional sort of thing. You have one part of the family that has someone missing, probably, with the great fear that she is no longer with us, and the other part of the family that maybe completely believes that their family member has nothing to do with it. This is a highly volatile situation. Had the court been thinking, they probably should have dismissed them separately. I know that's not really the court's job to be babysitters, but let's think like rational people and avoid shenanigans. I'm just saying. Hinds County Sheriff's deputies and court officials broke up the fighting, but as the two groups spilled outside the courthouse, one woman could be seen kicking at a male, leading to another melee. Video outside the courthouse captured. The unidentified woman's instigation led to another round of punches being thrown, as well as law enforcement officer tackling a man down the stairs. All the fighting was caught on camera as local news crews were covering the hearing inside the court, along with unrelated news conference outside. Following the fight, one minor was left with a bloody nose and several adults were arrested. Quote, deputies arrested 5 adults and all were charged with disorderly conduct and being held at the Raymond Detention Center, Hinds County Sheriff Tyree Jones said. During the hearing, Judge Johnny McDaniels ruled Coleman violated the conditions of his bond while dismissing the appeal, demanding the case back to dismiss municipal court. Good morning, feral housewife. Latasha Crump Coleman's relatives may have started the brawl, as it was possible they didn't understand McDaniel's ruling, believing it meant Derek Coleman would be released from jail, court officials told WAPT. Coleman has been in jail since October. Yikes. Okay, y'all, now maybe it's just me and oh, well, have a wonderful rest, Farrell. I know you are working nights, so get some rest in before the little people come back from school. Thank you for dropping in and giving me a like. I greatly appreciate it. Have a good rest, and I hope you do get some rest. Okay, y'all, I don't mean to say anything, but if I was gonna go to court, like, this is a casual sweatshirt, but I think I would, dress up. I would wear something, court appropriate. Have we just lost, like, dressing up for court? Because some of the victim statements, I mean, we are wearing Daisy Dukes, you know, I'm gonna call them what they're called on cops, but wife beaters, I mean, with the SpaghettiOs stains and the Cheeto dust, I mean, have we just lost all sense of self? I mean, I'm not trying to make judgments on this picture alone, I'm talking about the trials in totality. I have seen it ranges from people who have piece suits to people who are in Daisy Dukes with the airbrushed, "Rest in peace," very classy shirt. I just Can we just bring back just a little bit of classiness? You dress just one level up from the job you wanna have. I'm just throwing it out there. If I rule the world, that would be what I ask of people, if possible. If you can't afford it, it's okay. I understand. Crump Coleman's family suspected foul play may be a factor. They also believe her case was, quote, swept under the rug and out of the national spotlight because her disappearance came several days after the Carly Russell hoax disappearance in Atlanta. Russell gained national attention after she disappeared. And here's another thing. See, this Russell made this whole big shenanigans, and here this woman actually disappeared, and she got no attention because of it. On July 13th, after work with friends and family claiming she pulled her car over to help a child wandering along the side of the highway, she reappeared July 15th at her family's home, but when detectives began asking Russell questions, her story quickly fell apart and she admitted to making the whole thing up. She was quick She was convicted of filing a false police report in October and faces up to a year in jail. She should get the full year, in my opinion, especially for this family. I mean, she basically got the attention that could have gone to this family who really needed maybe some help. While no arrests have been made in the disappearance of Crump Coleman, no suspects have been ruled out, and Coleman's name is, quote, high on the radar. Jackson Police Chief Joe Wade told the outlet. Good morning, Sarah Adams. I like this judge. So, judge calls out quote unquote bully who threw a burrito bowl at a Chipotle worker and sentences her to work as a fast food employee so she can learn a quote sense of empathy. I like it. A judge in Ohio acknowledges handing down a quote unique sentence to a woman seen on camera hurling a burrito bowl at a Chipotle restaurant worker, even though the woman herself seemed to still believe her actions were justified. Are you too? Hmm. The 2-year-old in me understands your justification. The nearly 40-ish year old in me wants to lay the smack down. What the hell is wrong with you, ma'am? Parma Municipal Court Judge Timothy P. Gilligan sentenced Rosemary Hain, 39, to 180 days in jail at a hearing last week. He suspended 90 days of that sentence and presented Hain a unique opportunity. She could shave an additional 60 days from the sentence if she agreed to work in a fast food restaurant for 20 hours a week for 2 months. Quote, "Do you want to walk in her shoes for 2 months and learn how you should treat people? Or do you want jail time?" Gilligan asked Haynes during a November 28th hearing. Quote, "I would like to walk in her shoes," Haynes replied after a pause. Hain was captured on a cell phone video verbally berating Emily Russell over the state of a meal before launching the meal itself at the victim in September. Although it is difficult to make out exactly what she said during the exchange, it is clear that Hain is very unhappy with what she ordered. After she violently throws the food filled paper bowl at a stunned Russell, Hain starts to storm out of the store. Another woman appears to confront her, demanding Hain explain why she did what she did. Gilligan told Law and Crime's Anjanette Levy that Hain had been at the store before and was prepared for the confrontation. Quote, "Those cameras weren't rolling because Taylor Swift just walked into the joint," he said. "Those cameras were on because she made such a scene and wanted to be a bully. And this was the second occasion. She walked in there and made it absolutely clear to everyone in the place that she was going to be a bully and abuse and put on a show. That's why those cameras were rolling." He expressed similar sentiments to Hain directly to her at a hearing. Quote, "You went in there looking for a fight," Gilligan said at Hain's sentencing, according to local Fox affiliate JW. Quote, "I did not," Hain replied. "I did not. If I show you how my food looked and how my food looked a week later from the same restaurant, you would. It was disgusting looking." Yeah, she does look like the type to not wash her hands after she uses the restroom, doesn't she? Or to, you know, true. But if she is at Chipotle, you actually see her make the food in front of you. I would sentence her to, like, those places, like, either Chipotle or a Subway where you actually have to see them make the food in front of you, or a Noba Romans where, you have to see her make the pizza right in front of her. Quote, "I bet you're not gonna be happy with the food you're about to get in jail," the judge shot back. Gilligan acknowledged to Levy that the sentence is unique. Quote, "I thought, why not take this opportunity to have her learn or how people should be treated, how you should react, and how appropriate response to that type of situation. And the appropriate response to that type of situation," the judge said, "and that can best be learned by placing her in the shoes of the other victim." WJW reported that Hain did tell Russell, who ended up quitting because she was so traumatized, that she was very sorry about the incident. Quote, "She is going to get what she deserves," Russell told WJW, for the love of all that is Cheetos, about the sentence. Quote, "She didn't get a slap on the wrist, so she's going to learn how to work in fast food, and hopefully it will be good. I think it will be a good opportunity to teach someone a lesson," the judge told Levy. "Jail is a lesson, but it's limited." Gilligan also said the sentence would save the local taxpayers some money. Quote, "I thought, why should the city taxpayers pay to for her and feed her for 90 days in jail if I can teach her a sense of empathy," the judge told WJW. Haynes would also be put on 2 years of probation, according to court records. Haynes was sentenced the day she pled guilty. Well, there you go. Uh, you know, Here we are, our lovely Fannie Willis. Apparently, she is in a bit of hot water. Now, she's in a lot of hot water for a lot of things, and she's, spun up another RICO case. I don't know how she's gonna get along, but Georgia seems to be all, confused up for now. But she seems to have, started another battle. So let's see what is going on with Miss Fannie Willis now, because I'm sure Nicholas will have something to say about it. Fannie Willis's other fight, Fulton County DA's battle for accountability after lethal shootings by federal officers. Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis, who is prosecuting, you know, Orange Man Bad in Georgia for trying to overturn the 2020 election, is also trying to hold federal officials accountable in two other wholly unrelated cases. She has much better odds of convicting the former president. In 2019, an Atlanta police officer serving on an FBI-led task force killed a 21-year-old African American man named Jimmy Atchison, who was wanted on a local warrant alleging he stole an acquaintance's purse at gunpoint. The task force raided his girlfriend's apartment, then chased Atchison, who local prosecutors said wasn't armed, into a neighbor's home where the officer shot him in a closet. Willis's predecessor as a district attorney began building a case against the officer Sung Kim. Prosecutors also launched an investigation into the death of Jamarion Robinson, a mentally ill 26-year-old who was shot 59 times by members of a U.S. Marshals Task Force in 2016. Willis took office in January 2021 and has pursued both cases. She charged the two officers who shot Robinson with murder in 2021 and 2022. She charged Kim with murder as well. All three officers pled not guilty. Legal experts predict that the convictions are unlikely. Okay, 59 times? I mean, y'all, I'm 59 times. Y'all are gonna have look, your officernesses, we're gonna have to explain 59 times. Imma need to see some, forensic graphic, reconstruction of 59 times. I mean, a standard clip holds what, 18 rounds? You're charged two officers. How many clips did you use? For the love of Cheetos. Willis is not the only prosecutor in the country with two ongoing murder cases against members of the Justice Department Law Enforcement Task Force related to on duty shootings. Quote, no one above the law, Willis told NBC News. No citizen is beneath the protection of the district attorney, and no citizen is above prosecution if you do something wrong. Atchison is one of at least 223 people shot by federal agents, task force officers, or local police assisting in cases tied to the Justice Department law enforcement agencies from 2018 to 2022, according to an analysis of court documents, law enforcement records, and news accounts by NBC News. Probably. Look, we've seen everyone's OnlyFans. During that period, local prosecutors, grand juries, or law enforcement agencies deemed those shootings as justified 98% of the times. Of the 144 shootings reviews documented by NBC News, only two, including Atchison's case, resulted in criminal charges against on-duty officers. Good morning, AC's Wildflower. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Over the last 3 decades, a handful of local prosecutors have tried to convict federal agents or federal task force members of murder or manslaughter charges after fatal shootings. To date, no prosecutor has succeeded, according to a review of court cases on Thomson Reuters Westlaw. Look, Fanny, you're not going to get the feds to let you do anything to the feds. Yes, Fry is growing like a horse, which is amazing because sometimes he will turn his snout up to his food, but I think he is eating opportune snacks let out or left out by children, people who leave all their, leftovers out everywhere. Even though I tell them, "Hey, people food can hurt him." He is a human food vacuum. Okay. Cases typically get moved to federal court where they are more likely to be dismissed. Again and again, federal judges have dismissed charges by prosecutors, citing long-standing legal precedents. In September, a federal judge moved Willis's murder case against Kim from county court to federal court, where a federal judge is now presiding over it. Willis told NBC News that since then, family members of the victims and representatives from her office haven't been treated well by the Justice Department attorneys. That is not an acceptable thing. They are treated very poorly when they are in that courtroom, Willis said. It has troubled me the way that the victims' families and my prosecutors and investigators have been treated. Spokespeople for the Justice Department, the FBI, and the U.S. Marshals declined to answer questions about specific cases. Donald Samuel, an attorney for Kim who has retired from the Atlanta Police Department, declined to comment as well. Peter Carr, a spokesperson for the Justice Department, said in a statement that the department was proud of the work its law enforcement officers did. He said it recognizes the importance of transparency and accountability and had recently updated its use of force policy. Quote, because there are circumstances where use of force may occur, we recently updated our policy to ensure it parallels with the best practices of federal, state, and local law enforcement, Carr said. Gerald Griggs, a civil attorney and the president of Georgia's chapter of the NAACP, said federal officials must do more. Griggs said he and other local activists are determined to use the Atchison and Robinson cases as a launchpad to ensure that federal officers are held to the same standard as local police. Good luck with that. If we've seen anything from the other side of the political aisle in trying to get parity from the ever growing federal government, it's not going to happen. Now, here's a crazy thing. If we set aside our differences just for a little bit, just for a little bit, and we hold hands together and we all work together to disband this giant amorphous craziness that is this federal government and take back some of its overarching power, then we might be able to get some of these injustices on both sides, and we can get justice, we can get things done on both sides. You know, Now we would have to ignore the crazies that are over here on the fringes of both sides of our political parties and, have difficult conversations, uncomfortable conversations here and, assume that neither party has, ill intent morally. They're just seeing things from a different side, which I believe most of us can do. But we could get shit done. It's just like a bug's life. The crickets don't want us to realize that we are a bunch of ants and we outnumber them. I'm just saying. But I will say no more because, unlike JFK Jr., I realize I don't have securities. So, that's the thing, Fannie Willis can charge these people all she wants, but, no one it's a show, it's kabuki theater, and I am so tired of kabuki theater politics. Stop. Stop with the CNN round circles, stop with these, political theaters, Ted Cruz, stop with the whole, sound bites. Stop. I want real action, and if you're not gonna go into Congress for real action, then shut the heck up because I am just about done. But we have a funny story and, it's I they ask you before you go into an MRI machine if you have anything metal, so I don't know why this woman would have, maybe not said, "Hey, I happen to have a force multiplier." Perhaps one should have, "That's metal, duh." But, it seems to have escaped her mind that that was metal. A woman shot in the butt after sliding into an MRI machine with a loaded firearm, as you do. Who said being confined in a loud, claustrophobic metal tube couldn't be a blast? An unidentified Wisconsin woman was left with an extra pair of holes in her butt after she took a loaded firearm into an MRI machine during a doctor's visit back in June. Again, having had several MRIs, they ask you, like, you go in and you cannot even wear a bra. Like, you are y'all, it is uncomfortable, it is cold, it is noisy. It it how do you forget you are strapped? I know I say stay strapped and stay on a swivel, but, the MRI might be the one place you are not gonna be attacked by aliens and zombies. For the love of Cheetos. The 57-year-old woman had a force multiplier concealed on her person. Are they trying to lightly are they trying to, are they trying to imply that it was hidden in her prison pocket? I'm going with prison pocket in my headcanon, so there we go. As she was slid onto the MRI's bore, but when the machine's powerful magnets were engaged, the metal trigger was tripped and the force multiplier released a freedom seed, as it did, as it would. Quote, the patient received a gunshot wound in the right buttock area, a use of device problem report submitted by the woman's insurance company to the FDA in July report. The patient was examined by the physician at the site who described the entry and exit holes as very small and superficial, only penetrating the subcutaneous tissue. After getting shot in the butt, the woman was hospitalized and her wounds were treated. She went on to make a full recovery, but was still a dumbass, the report noted. It is unclear how the woman was able to bring a weapon into the MRI room. She underwent a routine screening for metal objects and said she had none before entering, the report noted. MRIs, magnetic resonance imaging machines, use magnetic fields generated by extremely powerful magnets to create images inside the human body. Their magnets are so powerful that patients are required to remove all metal from their bodies, and every item entering the machine rooms are carefully monitored to keep ordinary objects from becoming dangerous projectiles. Despite precautions, accidents caused by MRI machines are far from unheard of. As recently as October, a nurse at a San Francisco hospital suffered crushing injuries after she became trapped between an MRI and a hospital bed, violently drawn into the machine. Oh my God. That is terrible. In January, a Brazilian lawyer was unalived at a São Paulo hospital after a force multiplier he was carrying in his waistband was ripped from his pants and discharged into his stomach. Again, just for future notes, again, as I rarely give you all, trademark life advice, force multipliers, freedom seeds, fireworks, anything metal, don't take them into the MRI room. Your doctors, all the medical people, the people who are trained to do this will also tell you this. So listen to those people. Again, I should not be the only voice of reason in your life. I'm just saying. True. I do have a bone to pick about this story, and it's not about this man making a GoFundMe, but, the Actors Guild just finagled all of the, ANTIP, so all of the studios to basically give them a shit ton of money for a needy fund to help actors who were on hard times. Where the hell is, you know, SAG-AFTRA? Where the hell are you, Fran Drescher? You just went on strike for, what, 190 days, for all the little peoples. Well, here's the little peoples. Y'all better be helping the F out. 'Cause I've had to hear about your whiny asses, you know, "We don't get a living wage, and oh my god, and health insurance." You better be helping Home Alone guy, okay? Home Alone actor Ken Hudson Campbell launches GoFundMe to help pay for cancer surgery. And I'm not mad at him for doing a GoFundMe, I'm mad at SAG-AFTRA, because if he is a card-carrying member and they're not helping him, I'm about to lose my act. No, he is a card-carrying union member. Alright, I'm gonna say a curse word, you guys, so just deal with me. Fuck you, SAG-AFTRA, and Fran Drescher, especially fuck you. Steve Carell, Jeff Carlin, and Tim Meadows are among those who have donated. Ken Hudson Campbell, best known for playing Santa in Home Alone, as well as kissing Bill Murray in Groundhog's Day, was recently diagnosed with cancer. His family has started a GoFundMe campaign to help pay for his surgery to fight his disease. Quote, Ken Hudson Campbell is an accomplished film, TV, and voice-over actor and improvisational comedian who has been a card-carrying union member for upwards of 35 years. She's not anyone's type. She's a weirdo. I love how she posted after, a hard day of negotiating. She put on a designer dress and went out partying because, below line workers were having to sell their house in plasma and stuff, the makeup people and, the lighting, the gaffers and everything else. Yeah, those people that they were screwing over, the set workers. But the actors need, stuff. It was very difficult for them, the adult pretenders. Don't get me started, y'all. I'm about as pissed off as everything else. His daughter, Michaela, wrote on a fundraising page, on October 27th, 2023, Ken was diagnosed with cancer, a tumor that had exclusively grown on the bottom of his mouth and began encroaching on his teeth. Campbell is undergoing surgery to have a quote, large part of his jawbone removed and reconstructed, which will result in 6 months of recovery and chemotherapy treatments. The GoFundMe account, which is nearing its goal of $100,000, was created to help cover Campbell's out of pocket medical expenses as he recovers. Famous friends like Steve Carell, Jeff Carlin, Garlin, I'm sorry, not Carlin, Garlin, and Tim Meadows have already contributed, with Carell, a second City alum, posting, Love you, Ken. Ken Campbell is a family man, loving father of two children with an admirable lust for life, passion for acting, writing, and sports, the GoFundMe post said. It is possible that the procedure will affect his ability to work as an actor in the future. We are asking for your help so that Kenny can use the time ahead to return to health and spend more time with family and friends. Every prayer, positive thought, dollar, or gesture of support means the world to our family. Okay, so here's what SAG-AFTRA did. Basically, Antip, so all of the studios had acquiesced to every demand that they'd made, and Fran Drescher goes in there, and they were getting ready to sign, and she's like, "Well, we also want $1 for every subscriber that you have." And the studios are like, "The flip you say?" And she's like, "Well, we deserve it. We're actors. It's for us. We're making the product." And the CEOs were like, "We have all of this figured out. You guys." SAG-AFTRA did not have, in-house legal. It is all a big thing, but anywho, if SAG-AFTRA does not reach out and look, I haven't gone all into this, but if SAG-AFTRA doesn't help this man, they are a joke, and everyone should go, oh gosh, basically, I think it's NFAN. Everyone should quit the union if they don't help this man. I was gonna say burn things down, but that seems to be how everything goes anyway. Alright. Again, I can totally understand parents maybe losing it a bit, because I would lose it a bit too if my kids were, you know, unalived terribly. Quote, "We know who had done it. We know now the world knows." The mother of a murder victim hollering after son's alleged killers, his girlfriend and her parents arrested. 1 year after a Mississippi man's shocking murder, his one-time girlfriend and her parents are arrested and charged with his death. 37-year-old Caitlin Spence now faces capital murder charges in the death of 36-year-old Kirby Carpenter, who was shot to death in Tippah County, Mississippi on November 30th, 2022. Spence's arrest came exactly 1 year later on November 30th, 2023 in Jefferson County, Pennsylvania. Her parents, Karen and Jeffrey Spence, were also arrested in Virginia. Well, and he has a little tractor and he has his little overalls on. Y'all are terrible, just terrible. My quote, "My knees hit the floor and I was hollering," Maddie Jones, Carpenter's mother, told Law and Crime Network. "In our hearts and in ourselves, we know who had done it, but now the world knows." In an interview, Jones said she believes Spence was her after her son's bank account. Quote, "What my son worked for all his life, I think was the motive in this case. They stole things from the house, including gold and silver. They took a lot of things from the house," she said. While he was shot on November 30th, Carpenter's body was not found until several days later outside of his home. Jones said it was Caitlin Spence who first alerted her something was off. Quote, "She called me, and first she led me to believe that Kirby hadn't even came home overnight. And then the more I talked to her, she ended up telling me he hadn't been home actually for 2 days. Well, of course I got really scared because that's not like Kirby," Jones said. After the call, Jones and her husband ran over to Kirby's house or Carpenter's house only to find his body lying outside. Now, y'all, that's just plain evil. I mean, you're already evil for unaliving your, boyfriend, but to let the parents see it, I am just, for the love of all that is, I just quote, "It was devastating. It's something I live with every day, every morning, every night, 24/7." Dennis Heaton, you know, trying to figure out which chat gets the host more off topic, Mo here or Baker's present trial. Uh, well, I tend to get myself off of topic, so I can't really blame the chat. Well, yeah, Veilhammer, that was horrible. People are just, I'm telling you. It was dev oh, In the days leading up to Carpenter's death, Jones said there were no red flags. Quote, "There were none. Even when investigators went through his phone and everything, there was no arguing that they had," she said. "The red flags came only after his murder when Spence made some dramatic choices." Quote, "There was never a tear shed from her," Jones tells Law and Crime Network. Quote, they started changing the locks on the doors. They changed the locks on all of Kirby's safes. After Carpenter's funeral, Jones said she reached out to Spence, but hardly heard back. At the time, Spence had custody of Carpenter's daughter, Anola. No, no, get that child back. We would text or whatever and ask her to send a picture of Enola, or ask her how she was or whatever. Then all of a sudden, she just quit. Jones says, as of the last several months, no, we have had no contact. She would never contact us back at any time. Jones and her family are now trying to gain custody of Enola. Quote, we are trying very hard. Yes, I am in the process, and I'm going to do everything I can to get Kirby's baby home and teach her the right kind of way to live. I can't imagine monsters raising my baby. The monsters took my son, she said. If and when Jones gains custody of Enola, she says the topic of Carpenter's death will be difficult to breach. Oh, for the love of Cheetos. Friberto. Quote, "That's going to be very touchy. I don't really know exactly what we're going to do. We're going to raise her to know her dad. Him know him we're gonna let her know how happy he was to have her," Jones said. "As far as being able to tell her what happened, that probably can't even be answered now. It'll be a long time down the road. Look, you tell them what they need to know when they need to know it. When my daughters were very young, we just said their dad was in heaven, and that was a concrete thing. They could understand concrete things. And, concrete things they can understand. And then when they get older, when they got a little older, I could say, I didn't really talk about addiction, but I said, he was sick in his spirit. So they kind of understood it wasn't a body thing like a sickness like a flu, but it was more of a spiritual thing. So they kind of got that, like a sickness in his soul. And that was an easier thing for them to understand when they were like, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I could have more frank discussions with them now. And eh, th your kids will kind of tell you when they're ready to do stuff. I know, Wolfram, if you hadn't run out to get milk bones and never come back, you could help with the sleep stuff, but no. He just sits by the window waiting. You left him to be raised by cats. Even a year after her son's death, Jones says it's difficult to understand what happened. Quote, I can't comprehend it simply because I don't have that kind of evil in my heart. I don't understand how it could even happen, much less a mother, a daddy, a daughter with a brand new granddaughter to take that child's daddy away from her. If you love the child, you're not going to do that to a baby, she says. While Karen and Jeffrey Spence await extradition, Caitlin Spence has already been sent back to Mississippi. All three face capital murder charges. In the state of Mississippi, the capital murder charge does carry the death penalty. Jones explains, the Bible says an eye for an eye, but I'd rather have them sit in prison to die. That's what you always say, but you never you don't even send money for, chew toys or, I don't even understand how he's sleeping now. He had a real case of the zoomies. He and, Loki will run around the house, and when the boys got up about 5:30 this morning, he was they were ready to find all of the things. Now, this is an interesting story, and I wanna see if there's more to this because the army doesn't just fire people. So I wanna see what really went on, but no one's gonna talk about it. especially the new army with, whom they fired with her certain checkbox criteria, if you will say, being a female and a female of color. I am wondering what big scandal is about to drop. Army fires commander of Europe and Africa Support Brigade. The Army has revealed that a colonel in charge of a brigade that provides field support to Army units in Europe and Africa, citing, okay, please learn to read relieved, not revealed, relieved, citing a loss of trust and confidence in her ability to command. Commander Colonel Crystal Hills of the oh, thank you, Wolfram, very much for your son Fry's child support payment. Dart Wolfram. Trying to explain to my husband how Fry has child support. He's like, "What are you what? I don't understand." I was like, "It's internet, dear. I can't." Uh, Commander Colonel Crystal Hills of the 405th Army Field Support Brigade was fired in November by Army Sustainment Command Boss Major General David Wilson's service spokeswoman Kimberly Conrad confirmed Monday. Conrad did not provide further details regarding Hill's removal, including whether the Army is investigating any alleged misconduct. So thank you very much, Wolfram. I appreciate it so much, and so does Fry. He's even though for the love of Cheetos, could I just move the camera, Fryberto? You are bound and determined. The 450th AFS Brigade, headquartered at Denier Kasner, oh, for the love, in Germany, falls under the 21st Theater Sustainment Command for the U.S. Army, Europe, and Africa. Hill took command of the brigade in 2022. Wow, so not even a year. According to an Army release, the brigade orchestrates acquisition, maintenance, and other logistics for soldiers across Europe and Africa, as well as joint forces that rely on Army stocks. As a lieutenant colonel, Hill's previous command, the Army Field Support Battalion Africa, until 2018, the battalion managed the Army's stockpile of weapons and supplies and used by troops, quote, south of the Alps, particularly the 173rd Airborne Combat Brigade in Europe and Army units in Africa, according to an Army release. The unit also managed humanitarian aid supplies for the Defense Security Cooperation Agency. The Army declined to say who has replaced Hills in the brigade's top job or where she was reassigned. Oh, Kaiserslautern. Thank you, Veilhammer. I was like, look, I understand I have a lot of German DNA, but come on now. It's like, if it's not a candy, I can't see it. So I expect to find out a big old scandal about tomorrow or so, probably tonight at about 5:30, because y'all, if you ever wanna figure out what a scandal time is going on, check your news feeds about tonight, 5:30. This is where they go to bury news they don't want you to know. Newsy news they don't want you to know. They will try to release all the bad news about Friday night. Look, I can't go to Germany, and there's a reason. I would come back as a ball. They would just roll me because, all the cake and all the chocolate and everything. I'd just be there. Now, I would get the, dumb American look because I'd ask for more than 1 ice cube in my drink because I like to drink cold beverages. So, you know, I'd get the dumb American look, but other than that, I'm I'm there. I'm like, "Just feed me all the chocolate and the cake, and we're good." But everything else, I'd be like, can I have 2 ice cubes?" American. I know I look Irish, but ooh, I can fly undercover-ish. Good to know. Well, that has been the morning newsy news. I await the scandal to come out because they were, she has only been in there for a year, so I wonder how badly she screwed the pooch to be out in a year, especially given her, let's say, with what Millie has said in the Kabuki theater, open, sessions of C-SPAN, she definitely had to have screwed the pooch pretty bad to have, kind of checkbox armor and still have been fired. So I definitely wanna see what has gone on that has given her the old heave ho out of her, position in under a year. My guess is a whole lot of stuff went a whole lotta missing, but that's just allegedly, and I'm speculating wildly. So, have a wonderful day. I know that Nick is covering live the Young Thug trial. I know Baker has a trial. I know, I think MLS is doing the Ethan Crumbley live. So go over there, like all the things, do all the stuff. I will see you guys later. There is no nightly newsy news tonight. I will be on Megan Fox tonight at 9, though. Full on Florida gal or man, I was just told to have Florida attire. It will be a surprise. It will be epic. Join me at 9. It'll be awesome. I'll see you guys later. No, not as Donna. I am going full Florida person, so mullet and surprise outfit. I found Goodwill Goodwill asked and delivered. It's going to be great. I'm just saying. I will be wearing a bra. Full method acting, I have to wear a bra. Sorry, Sarah Boone, it's gonna happen. Yes. Yes, it is all 9 p.m., so I have an energy drink, I will be fully caffeinated, it is gonna be awesome. I will see you guys then. Bye, guys.